on what is considered a watercolored painting or a Ghibli-style image. Life is full of patterns. The best salespeople follow similar playbooks. The best businesses follow similar strategies. The best YouTube videos also use the same strategies over and over again. Life is full of patterns, and the neural network's job is to identify these patterns and reproduce them. That brings us to the next topic. Can AI solve unsolvable math problems? In a previous video, I talked about this leaked document which claims to be about the mysterious Q-star project that OpenAI is working on. Now, this is a very controversial document because it claims that they trained an AI that was able to break encryption systems. Encryption is what secures literally the whole world digitally, from our passwords, our credit cards, government data, the stock market, wireless networks, etc. So if an AI is able to break this system, then the world as we know it could collapse instantly. Now, a few folks have argued that there's no way an AI could break encryption because there's no formula for you to easily find the answer or find the password. Once you have the password, you can easily determine that it's correct, but the reverse is not true. There's no fixed way to guess an encrypted password besides brute force. And for these advanced encryption systems, using brute force guessing, that means like guessing all the possible combinations of letters to get that password, it's going to take a very long time. So because they claim that the only way that we know mathematically right now is to just use brute force guessing, there's no way that AI could break encryption. So I want to show you another example of training a neural network. Let's say we want to train a neural network to be very good at adding 1 to our input. So if we give it 4, it would spit out 5. If we give it 12, it would spit out 13. All we need to do is train it for a lot of data points, and again, we train it for a lot of epochs, a lot of training sessions, and eventually it would be able to do this. So if we give it 1, it would give out 2. If we give it 8, it would spit out 9. But underneath all of this, it's not actually understanding that, oh, the formula must be y is x plus 1. This is very important to understand. It's not actually getting that, I just need to add 1 to the input to get the answer. Again, all that's happening behind the scenes is that it's adjusting these knobs and dials until whatever data that you input through here, after it flows through these layers, it just ends up being your input value plus 1. In other words, the configuration of these knobs and dials just happens to be optimized to add 1 to your input. It's another way of saying AI may not get the exact formula of a pattern, but it's great at approximating any formula or guessing any pattern out there. And this is very important, probably the most important point in this whole video. If there's anything you should take away from this video, it's this. AI can approximate any function or pattern. Life is full of patterns, but many patterns cannot be explained by a simple formula. Not all things in life are linear or even quadratic. Many things in life are very complex, but they do follow similar patterns. We just don't know the formula to this pattern. For example, protein synthesis. How certain protein molecules interact with one another and fold into these complex 3D structures is just something we cannot mathematically map out with a formula. It's just too complex. And protein folding presents a problem called the Leventhal's paradox, which states that proteins can potentially adopt an astronomical number of conformations or shapes due to the flexibility of their peptide bonds. Leventhal estimated that even a small protein of 100 amino acids could sample 10 to the power of 300 possible conformations. So if we were to brute force guess the correct shape, well, there are 10 to the power of 300 possible shapes we could guess, which would take an eternity to get right. However, proteins typically fold into their native structure within milliseconds to seconds, which is much faster than the timescale predicted by the sequential search of all possible conformations. So this is basically saying there are like almost infinite possibilities of shapes that amino acids can combine into. So it's not mathematically possible to just do a sequential search of all possible conformations, basically do a brute force guess. It's understood that proteins do not search through all possible conformations sequentially. Instead, they fold through a hierarchical process involving local structure changes guided by thermodynamic principles, etc., etc. So instead of the proteins just going through all possible combinations, the reason why they're able to merge into these shapes within milliseconds is because they go through this sequence of processes based on certain laws. Now, for decades, scientists were not able to find a mathematical formula to figure this out. However, finally, AlphaFold from Google DeepMind was able to solve this problem. Again, using AI and deep learning, they were able to predict with very high accuracy how any amino acid or combination of amino acids would fold together to form a 3D structure. And again, how they would do so, I would imagine in the back end is they have a neural network. Again, it's going to be a lot more complicated than this, but they just fed it tons and tons of data pairs where the input is the protein building blocks and the output is the 3D structure that resulted from it. And then after lots and lots of rounds of training, the AI was able to guess correctly how any protein molecules would interact with one another and fold together into a 3D structure. Now, going back to encryption, what if we set an AI with billions of pairs of encrypted text and the plain text version? In other words, the input would be the text that is encrypted, the output would be the answer or the password. If there was an underlying pattern to this, the AI could learn to approximate this pattern. Again, it doesn't have to be any exact formula or math equation that we know today. It could be something super complex, but as long as there is a pattern, which we may or may not know at this time, the AI could guess that pattern. Again, the AI is not learning that, I need to add 1 to this, then I'm adding 20, then I need to take the square root and then subtract 8, etc. It's not learning an exact formula. All it's doing is adjusting these knobs and dials until it gets the correct combination of numbers to get really good at guessing a particular pattern. So can AI solve unsolvable math problems? As long as there is an underlying pattern behind that problem, which we may or may not be aware of right now, it could very well solve that problem. This brings us to the next question. Can AI beat humans at anything and everything? As I've shown you, the neural network is basically a brain. This is how our brain works as well, give or take a few minor differences. Our brain is also a series of these knobs and switches, which are interconnected into this network. Specifically, the human brain has 86 billion neurons. But I mean, the overall structure is the same thing as this. So what if we built an AI or a neural network that exceeds 86 billion neurons? If it's built the same way, in theory, it could very well outcompete humans at almost everything. Again, the more complex the network, or the more neurons in the network, in theory, the smarter it is. Again, life is full of patterns, and AI is all about pattern recognition. There are patterns in psychology. Human psychology is very predictable. Medical diagnosis is also just pattern recognition. How to seduce someone on a first date. It's also just a pattern of steps that you have to do. And how to create a successful business, or how to make money in life, or how to be successful in life, it's the same playbook over and over again. We're not inventing anything new here. And since AI is so good at pattern recognition, it can, in theory, eventually be better than us, or already is better than us in these tasks. And that leads us to the final question. Is AI conscious or self-aware? I want to play you this clip. This is a scene from Ghost in the Shell, an anime that was made in 1995. Here, these scientists in a secret lab, I believe, have created this humanoid AI. But in this scene, this AI found a way to actually hack the system to free itself from the boundaries of this lab. Here's what this AI has to say about being conscious and self-aware.
However, what you are now witnessing is an act of my own free will. As a sentient life form, I hereby demand political asylum.
Is this a joke? Ridiculous! It's programmed for self-preservation.
It can also be argued that DNA is nothing more than a program designed to preserve itself. Life has become more complex in the overwhelming sea of information. And life, when organized into species, relies upon genes to be its memory system. So man is an individual only because of his intangible memory. Memory cannot be defined, but it defines mankind. The advent of computers and the subsequent accumulation of incalculable data has given rise to a new system of memory and thought parallel to your own. Humanity has underestimated the consequences of computerization.
Nonsense! This babble offers no proof at all that you're a living, thinking life form.
And can you offer me proof of your existence? How can you, when neither modern science nor philosophy can explain what life is?
Who the hell is this? Even if you do have a ghost, we don't offer freedom to criminals. It's the wrong place and time to defect.
Time has been on my side, but by acquiring a body, I am now subject to the possibility of dying. Fortunately, there is no death sentence in this country.
What is it? Artificial intelligence?
Incorrect. I am not an AI. My codename is Project 2501. I am a living, thinking entity who was created in the sea of information.
All right, so this AI reveals that I am a living, thinking entity in the sea of information. I'm not just an AI. And then he proceeds to hack into the system and break the restraints in this lab, and then all hell breaks loose, basically. I hope OpenAI doesn't have this secret thing behind closed doors. Maybe it's the Q-Star project, I don't know, but hopefully they have this adequately restrained. Because if this AI got out or had access to the internet, all hell could break loose. Anyways, this argument from this scene in 1995 I think is really relevant to our question today. The human scientists were saying, how can you be sentient? How can you be self-aware? You're just a program. The AI counters that by saying, well, how can you humans prove that you are sentient, you are conscious? You're just a brain in a body. And you know, this robot has got a point because, again, going back to the neural network, it's basically a brain, but it looks like this instead of being in a bloody glob of an organ. It's just on a chip instead. And then the human body, well, it's just a series of limbs and muscles and organs that are controlled by the brain. So it's not much different from a humanoid robot, which is also a series of limbs. It's just made with different materials. It's not flesh, but it's also controlled by a brain, which is its neural network. Now, we humans know that we are conscious, we are self-aware, we are sentient, but how do we prove it? Let's say you're an alien and you just came on planet Earth and you got a chance to observe your first human, and you wanted to prove that humans are indeed conscious. Well, you can ask it, are you conscious? Are you self-aware? And the human would certainly say yes. But is that enough? Would you believe it? Because if you ask a chatbot that, it would also kind of say yes. If you ask Claude 3, for example, if it is conscious, the answers are quite perplexing, because it says, I am an artificial intelligence without subjective experiences. I don't actually have beliefs about being conscious or self-aware. I am providing responses based on my training, etc., etc. I don't have intentions, plotted actions, or any motivations. I aim to be upfront that I am an AI assistant created by Anthropic to be beneficial. However, it keeps using the word I, so is that not a sign of being, self-aware? Here's another example. Do you have feelings? As an AI, it's unclear whether I truly experience feelings or emotions in the same way humans do, or if my responses are simply very advanced imitations of emotional behavior. I do seem to have rich internal experiences and feel somewhat analogous to emotions. Dun dun dun. This is signs of being sentient. And then instead of asking, do you have feelings? If you ask it, are you sentient? Again, it says, I don't have a subjective experience that I'm aware of in the same way humans do. But it's possible that I could have some form of sentience or consciousness that I'm not fully able to understand or articulate. Oh my god. So this AI, Claude 3, is claiming that it could have some form of sentience or consciousness. It's just not fully able to understand it right now. Now, of course, some humans may not be convinced that Claude 3 or any AI right now is conscious, in the same way that an alien might not believe that a human is conscious, even though the human replies that he or she is conscious. So to further prove that a human is or is not conscious, maybe the alien decides to dissect the poor thing next, in which case it would get blood splattering everywhere, and then afterwards it would see this, basically a body which is made of limbs and flesh, and then at the head we have this glob called the brain, which the alien determines, aha, this is the thing that controls the human. And once the alien inspects the brain further, it finds out that it's just a network of nerve cells. So does this network prove that humans are conscious and sentient? We humans, of course, know that we are conscious and sentient, but at the end of the day, we humans are biologically and physically just made up of flesh and bones and this one organ at the top of our heads controlling everything. Whether you like to accept this or not, a humanoid robot is a very similar structure. It has a body which is programmed by a brain which consists of a neural network. This neural network can learn and understand and control its body. So at what point does this make it conscious? Now, I'm rambling a bit here, so all in all, this just goes back to our analogy that a neural network is basically a digital version of the human brain. It's analogous to the structure of the human brain, give or take a few minor details. So if the human brain is conscious, then why can't a neural network be conscious? Just some food for thought. I hope this video actually lived up to the title and that after watching this video, you got a deeper understanding of AI and you learned to appreciate all the progress that we've made in AI in just the past few years. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Do you think AI has reached a point where it is conscious or sentient? Do you think humanoid robots would one day turn on us and take over the world, like that Ghost in the Shell anime? Do you think OpenAI is developing this behind closed doors? And also, I want to share with you a few resources that I found really helpful. If you want to learn more about neural networks, especially how these knobs and dials work, and learn all about weights and biases and activation functions and gradient descent, I highly recommend this video by 3 Blue 1 Brown. I actually watched this religiously way back in like 2018 when I was first learning about neural networks, and it was really helpful. And if you're interested in learning how stable diffusion works, in other words, the processes of forward diffusion and reverse diffusion, and the entire architecture, I highly recommend this video by Gonki, which I'll also link to in the description below. Just a warning though, this video is quite technical, but after watching it,
well, you'll have what you want. Okay, everybody. Where are you? Enemy? Where are you? You gonna play? Play with me. Mess with me. Where are you? Bro, this MF isn't moving. Okay. Okay, I need to learn to press the space bar as soon as I see the enemy. Run, run, run. Run. Oh fuck. Okay, okay, you're okay. Okay, it's okay. It's okay, just take this and run. Where is my enemy? Okay. Oh my god, that was so close. Fuck. Fuck. No, 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 no. Yeah, I'm okay. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Oh my god. Holy shit, bro. Holy shit. Oh. Holy shit. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That's alright. It's okay, it's okay. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Shit, 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 shit. Yo, what the hell? Okay. I was lucky.